everybody. Welcome to another episode of Carolyn Talks Television. I'm Carolyn Topol, and this is my amazing co-host, Rachel Arnett.
Hello, everyone.
And this is going to be one of our more unusual entries in our series.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's almost about not television.
Whatever the opposite of television is.
But in this case, it's not radio.
No.
Because this episode is about EEK, what's happening with the writers' strike, and the Screen Actors Guild strike. I mean, hello, we are in big trouble right now because the season's about to begin. We are actually, in case there's somehow a reconciliation really fast.
It would have to be really fast.
We are taping the very, very, very end of August. And usually you'll see the new season beginning in September. About that. Not so much.
Some news.
So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on with the strike and what it's all about. What's happening is both the writers, all the screenwriters, this isn't just TV, this is screenwriters, and the actors, which are from the union, the Screen Actors Guild, so it's called SAG for anybody who's not familiar with that. So the writers and the screen actors are now both striking. The writers have been striking for well over 100 days. The screen actors joined them during the summer, not only in support, but for the same reasons. So what do most strikes revolve around?
Fair
Money.
compensation.
Money.
Yeah.
It's about money. And in this case, it's an interesting twist to it because what's happening is that with the world of streaming, which is really, as we know from Emmys and things like that, the dominant part of TV viewing now, and even in many cases movie viewing, where you wait till it's on your streaming network, which is usually, 8 weeks out after it's been in the theater. You're not waiting a long time. And I know, in my case, I'm one of those guilty people. I have a pretty nice sized TV set for the room I'm in.
Yeah.
So I can wait 8 weeks, and unless it's one of these big blockbusters that has a lot of
the visual effects.
Where the visual effects are huge. Yeah. And you need to have the surround sound experience. I can wait till it's on my screen in my home, which is, once again,
which a lot of people are doing now.
2 to 3 months later. Well, on the flip side, the writers are only getting compensated as they used to. But now, the world of residuals is diminishing. And here's what a residual is. It's the money you get when the show you wrote is replayed, as in what used to be called reruns. Yeah, not so much anymore. Now they're sort of given, you're going to have 8 episodes for the entire season as opposed to what used to be anywhere from 20 to 28.
Yep.
Depending on your series.
Especially a lot of Hulu, Netflix shows, streaming shows in general.
Yeah, every
8
show.
to 10
Disney
episodes.
does this, they're Disney Plus.
Yep.
Everything is 10 is a long series.
Yeah.
Is a long season. 10 is a long season, 10 episodes. So it used to be you'd have these either 20 to somewheres up to 26, 28 episodes in a year, and then they'd be repeated over the summer, which where you'd get your residuals. And then if they repeated it multiple times over the years, you'd even get some of that.
Someone that I knew in college had a one-line role in the movie Stepmother way back in the day, and he would get a check every year for how many times it played on TBS or FX during the year.
Okay, that was that person's residual. Well, now you're getting things where the big season is 8 episodes. For example, Bridgerton, we know, is only 8 episodes, where Friends had 24 episodes in 2003 and would be replayed. Now we're having much shorter seasons, a much longer hiatus. So these writers are getting nada for a long time.
Well, and
as well as the actors.
And just with the structure of something streaming, previously when they would do reruns, it was scheduled. It was, you get, after this rerun is done, you get this amount of money. But now, I could go on and watch the same 7 episodes of a show that I love so much over and over and over again, which does happen for a lot of people, and they're not getting compensated.
That's right. They're not getting compensated for that, which is money they used to count on. And I was thinking about this in the back of my mind when cable started and TV in general started the on-demand concept.
Yeah.
But then it would only be like, for the next 3 months,
yes,
we will let you watch the season of The Big Bang Theory on CBS On Demand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was very structured to a short period of time.
And the writers and the actors got residuals for that period of time. I'm not sure how the residual structure works, since anybody could watch it anytime, day or night.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big part of it, is they've never really looked back at developing a new contract for residuals based on this new structure of streaming and it all being there all at once.
And then, of course, then the actors are in the same situation. And if you're an actor who's not an A-list actor, you're cooked. You're getting like 4 episodes of something very short that's going to air a zillion times, but you're only going to get paid for those 4 episodes.
Yeah. And there have been a lot of actors who are those workhorse actors that you see in 5 episodes of this show, 5 episodes of this show, but you know who they are, you know their name, and they've shown, a lot of them on social media, their residual checks, and it's really sad and very there's this perception that actors are incredibly well paid, and that's really a select few. There are always 1 or 2 shows where someone's making thousands of dollars per episode when they're the lead, but that is really not the case right now.
No.
Generally speaking.
And I feel like the other piece of the puzzle that they were talking about that I did learn about, and maybe many of you have too on the news, was actors that used to be given the bit roles, bit parts, are being replaced by AI, artificial intelligence, and they're just having bodies out there and some voice pumped in.
Well, there's also been cases noted where extras are, as they get a job, they're told to take this full body scan and they're not told what it's for. And then that is a 3D image of them that they have now used in multiple projects, and they're not getting paid for their likeness.
So there's a
lot of issues.
So there's a lot of things going on. For those of you who don't know, the Screen Actors Guild president right now is Fran Drescher. Many of you may not remember her as the nanny.
I will always remember her as the nanny.
But she's a very political-minded person, so she's been very outspoken. We all know there's 2 sides to everything. I know I've seen things out there on the internet blasting the president of, this network or that streaming thing. The truth is, that's one person. That person may have a big salary, but there's a lot of people working under them. So I think there's got to be a better balance, and I think they're still trying to find it. In the meantime, we have TV coming up, and all kinds of things are delayed, and I'm going to start with the one that we were excited about doing, which no Emmys until January, we hope. Emmys is a live show, and to be honest, the Tonys went live with the permission of the writers.
With no writers.
With no writers. It was a completely unscripted show in the opening act by incredible, talented Broadway actor Ariana DeBose. Thank you. Easy for you to say. It was a dance number because that's her specialty.
Yes.
She's an amazing dancer, and it was a dance production.
Yeah. Well, some networks and shows are finding ways to work around it or work with it. So
go ahead, tell us some of them.
Movies, A24, which is a more independent studio. The Writers Guild and SAG have actually approved their members to continue working with A24 because they have already agreed to the demands. So that's one thing that I found very interesting.
That is interesting.
Because not only is it affecting things that have yet to be written or filmed, but actors who are SAG members are not allowed to promote anything that they have already filmed and is ready. So even things that have been filmed and are ready to go are being delayed because they're worried about how, without a marketing, they
That's
might
right.
actually be able to get viewers.
I don't know how many of you noted on the usual suspects morning shows when, for example, the new Barbie movie came out, how odd it was that there was no big guest things. They were replaying previously recorded interviews because the actors were not promoting. Another thing that is really interesting that's about to happen is, everybody knows I'm a big Jeopardy girl.
Very true.
Okay, so we have two hosts of Jeopardy.
Yep.
Two legit hosts are Ken Jennings, past champion or multi-champion, and
Multi-hyphenate winner.
also now one of the executive producers of Jeopardy.
And doing a fantastic
And doing a
job.
great job. And Mayim Bialik, who does all the specialty shows like Celebrity Jeopardy, which has become sort of a little fan favorite once a week for those people who like to see their celebrities do their thing. Well, right now, Mayim, because she's a member of the Screen Actors Guild, is not going to be hosting because she's following the rules of her union. So Ken Jennings, if they do, because remember, game shows are not scripted, and I'll tell you how that's going to work in a minute on Jeopardy, because we obviously know someone wrote those questions.
Exactly. It was all Ken Jennings.
Right. But that Ken Jennings will be hosting any episodes of any of the shows coming up. Wow. As well as being executive producer. And what he said is what they're doing is, you know, they've always ongoing made lots more. The writers have always made many, many more questions and categories than ever needed, because you certainly don't want to say, oops, what do we have for this week? Oh, wait, I better write another category. So they're going to be using old material that has still not been aired.
Yeah.
Now, if this, I thought about it, so if this goes on long enough, somewhere around Halloween,
We're going to run out of questions.
they're going to run out of questions.
Yeah.
That's just a guess. I have no
We're
idea.
going to start crowdfunding questions.
There you go. And now you were thinking about some of the shows that you follow.
Well, so I was thinking about the shows that I follow, but the other thing that struck me is the last major writers' strike that we had really gave us the birth of reality television, and not the reality television that many of us have come to know and love, although I don't really watch as much now. But I mean, any show you could think of, I distinctly remember shows coming out that were just bizarre. And at the end of the day, I'm someone who believes in what SAG and the Writers Guild are doing. I think
That helps, right? That helps your feelings, I'm sure.
But I am very sad that some of the shows that I absolutely love and that have been recently very huge and have huge fan bases are being delayed. Abbott Elementary, which has won so many awards, so they have completely shut down their writer's room. So the third season is going to be very delayed because they don't have even the episodes laid out. And it makes a lot of sense of me too, because the creator of the show and star of the show has been a member of the Writers Guild longer than she has been an actress.
Correct.
And
that is correct, yes.
It's also very common in comedies now for the writer to also be a star of it. So there's a lot of back and forth.
And if you think about one of the first shutdowns, which happened almost immediately, in fact, it was the day that the writers went on strike, were the nighttime talk shows. You saw Jimmy Kimmel and The Tonight Show all go dark because, for example, Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel are basically leads of the writers' team.
Yeah.
And they write things for their monologues that day, because you write what's in the news
That day.
So the second the strike happened, oops, we lost several shows, also some other entertainment things, Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You write it that week, you write it that day, because it's based on what's happening in the world. Kelly Clarkson show. Because there was nobody, also was nobody to interview really, because she gets scripted. She gets scripted.
And that's the thing. Most shows at this point have some kind of scripting. Even most reality shows at this point.
That's right.
Will have some script for the host.
That's right.
So
That's right.
There really are very few shows that could be untouched. Even sports broadcasts sometimes are affected.
Now, the shows that aren't affected, which I found interesting because they are sort of a different unions and different guilds or whatever. I learned this. I mean, I just learned this. You're just learning this with us. Morning news shows. Good Morning America, the Today Show, CBS Morning are all a different set of writers. They're not under the Writers Guild, and for lack of a better term, the talent are really news professionals. It's not the same. They're not actors.
Yeah.
And in fact, they usually would joke at times that, we're anchors, we're not actors. They would joke about that. Over the years, you've heard them say things like that. Well, now it's for sure. That's correct. That's why those shows are untouched.
Meanwhile, The Daily Show, gone.
Forget it, right?
All scripted.
Yeah, all scripted, right.
Well, and even so, shows that people have been looking forward to. I cannot wait for the final season of Stranger Things to come out.
Okay.
They have episodes written, but filming has been postponed now. And it feels, I don't know what it is about Stranger Things, but it feels like it's quite literally a 2-year wait between every season. Now, to be fair, COVID.
Yes.
To be fair.
Yeah.
Things
Well, I thought then it was a 2-year wait between each season.
It quite literally has at this point almost. So this final season is coming up. Cobra Kai, another huge hit for Netflix, which is going to be doing, I think it's 5th or 6th and final season, and I've watched all of them. Same thing, production completely halted. Even though it's written, the actors are not. And the other thing to keep in mind is they will often employ writers, even as they're filming a show, to make edits and to make changes.
And that's not happening. One thing, though, that I found interesting and may or may not come to fruition is I think shows like The Crown may continue, because if you think about it, The Crown is filmed with British actors.
So they would just have
British
to not
writers,
be members of SAG.
They have to not be members of SAG, and the writers have to be not part of the Writers Guild.
So BBC is loving this.
I bet.
BBC viewership is way up. Although poor Coleman, who is in 100 American shows right now.
Right. Oh my God, Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman.
Oh, well, but she wasn't. Well, she was in The Crown for a while, but
she's in The Crown. She's in Heartstopper. She's in Marvel TV series now.
Not so much.
Not so much now.
But I was wondering about that, because I've been hearing people talk about how The Crown is handling, which will come this year, this coming season. Diana's passing. Well, not passing, her death. Her death, because she didn't just pass away, she was killed in a car accident. No surprise for all of us. And how they handled it in a very tender and not graphic way. Yeah. So they were discussing that, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, they actually might be filming, because they're not in the United States.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see also if there's a situation like with A24 where they allow them to participate, maybe if it's for another studio like BBC Studios or Channel 4 in the UK, they have
And I don't know how the compensation works.
Yeah.
I don't get it. But I do know what's happening here. So if we go back, we talked about Jeopardy a little bit. And we talked about reality TV. Then the next question is, how much of things like cooking shows are scripted versus they're filmed by a production staff?
And outlined, but not necessarily scripted.
Because the person outlining it is the person who is doing the activity.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are shows like Chopped, I'm throwing it out there, that's not scripted. If it is, yuck.
Well, I feel like not the show itself, but some of the introductory bits and things like that probably are scripted. When they say, "Welcome to the Chopped Kitchen," so and so, but do they then just for this time period have the host come up with their own?
Right, or is the production staff Is the production staff just writing the bios of the contestants? Because that's really the only part that sounds like what you called scripted.
Yeah.
Because everything else is, they get the food, they do the cooking, everybody's chatting about what they're cooking and what the components are, and judging it. It's not something you do ahead of time. This is, as far as I'm aware, it's not a fixed show, so it's not scripted. No, that's what I'm saying. It's not scripted. And
what about competition shows in general?
Right.
Can The Voice and American Idol?
I believe they are starting.
Well, that shows you right there.
Which I found fascinating, because I would have thought The Voice was more scripted, but if you think about it, the initial auditions are this random group, and they're pre-recorded. They're pre-recorded, they listen to somebody sing a song, and they comment about it.
So it's produced, but it's not necessarily written.
It's not written, and it's not actors.
The only rub would be if a member of the judging team was also a member of one of the...
And I don't think they are, now that I'm thinking about it.
Adam Levine, I don't think I've ever...
Well, hasn't been on it for a few years, but like Kelly Clarkson. Reba McEntire has been actually advertising it because she's one of the new judges now.
Oh.
She's taking the place of longtime judge...
Miley Cyrus?
No, the original. Wow.
Oh, Adam Levine and the other country singer?
Yes. Wow. You could see how much we follow country music. Sorry about that, folks.
He is married to Gwen Stefani.
Wow, we're bad. We'll get it by the end of the show, I'm sure.
Right after
we sign up. Yeah, right after we sign off. But the whole point is, reality TV comes in all shapes and sizes, as do the news shows, and what I would call almost pseudo news shows. Like, all of them have come up with these afternoon, Good Morning America, What You Need to Know in the middle of the day, because they've taken all the soap operas off the air. So some of these things are now going to still air, and they air live, and they are news personalities.
And therefore not considered.
And it's that same writers group that writes the morning news shows. So what are some of the shows you're going to miss, though, if you think?
Oh, well, I'm genuinely very upset about Abbott Elementary, because especially during the school year, it gives me a real boost. I work in schools, so there's something even though the show highlights a lot of things that are problematic or troublesome in schools, there's just a general joy to it that I'm really going to miss. I'm actually going to miss Cobra Kai very much, and The Boys. Have you heard of The Boys?
I've heard of it. I have not watched it yet.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's a very dark take on what the reality of a world with superheroes could actually be like.
Now I heard about it, yeah.
And it left off in a really fascinating point, and
it's going to be a while before
it's completely done. It's done, edited, ready to go. The premiere has been delayed indefinitely.
Okay, and now one of the things I'm going to miss, interestingly, there are two sitcoms that I just find incredibly lovely to watch as the week is coming to an end on Thursday nights on CBS. I like Young Sheldon and Ghosts.
I haven't started Ghosts yet.
And it's this really sort of niche, oddball group it's literally about ghosts, about people that died in the proximity of this basically mansion. And they are now haunting this place, and one of the people who bought it, one of the couple who bought it, fell down the stairs once, hit her head, and she can see them and interact with them.
But her
husband knows about it. He can't, but he knows about it. Now, the first season, they tried to get away with her not, and that just wasn't working. That was like annoying. It would be like Bewitched, where Darren didn't know she was a witch. It just didn't work. So I consider it almost like a Bewitched-like program in that respect, and it's just fun.
Or it's just frivolous. And
I mean, they even solved the mysteries about some of them who died and didn't know how they died.
Oh, cool.
And one of them was killed, so it was a lot of fun. They had that as sort of an underlying one.
Killed, so that's a lot of fun.
I know.
I thought I'd hear you say,
that's
but now
right.
I want to check
It's really creative. And this was the last season, so I was like ready to go back, and not so fast. Young Sheldon. Ian Armitage is going to be a really nice young man by the time we go back to the show, I think.
He's going to be in his 20s.
Oh my God, I hope not.
No. Handmaid's Tale, they had their final season coming up.
Oh, that's right.
And these are, the other thing is, like, these are all award-winning shows. Like, we don't necessarily just enjoy them. Other people enjoy them. But at the end of the day, I would rather have a little bit less enjoyment and let people get paid fairly.
And I hope whatever it is that makes the balance, because I do know there's two sides. I mean, one is louder, so we're hearing about it, because maybe they have more of a point. I don't know. I'm not in the negotiation room. But I hope they come up with a good way to resolve this soon. Really, really soon, because I not only want my MTV, but I want TV.
In general.
And new TV. New TV. So, Rachel, thank you for joining me in this very unusual, untelevision discussion.
Yeah.
And hopefully next month we will have good news about new shows coming to you very soon.
That's good.
So thanks for coming and joining us for another episode of Carolyn Talks Television.